Now he goes into a little bit more about some of the battle. Back to the book. All this April, high above the shouting of the guns, are larks. The larks sang joyously. The scarlet of the poppies, the song of the larks, the lamp shining on the altar are the only external signs of the unconquerable, happy religion which lies in the hearts of our men. Their religion is the religion of heroism, which they have learned in the glory of the trenches. There was a line from William Morris's Earthly Paradise, which is like a long, epic poem. It's almost like a novel, which used to haunt me, especially in the early days when I was first experiencing what war really meant. It reads as follows: "Of heaven or hell I have no power to sing. I cannot ease the burden of your fears or make quick coming death a little thing." It's the last line that makes me smile rather quietly, or make quick coming death a little thing. I smile because the souls who wear khaki have learnt to do just that. These guys, this fear of death that people have, and this poem that says, hey, you can't make quick coming death, you can't make that into a little thing, it's going to be huge and ominous. Guess what? These guys are okay with it. Back to the book. How typical he is of the days before the war, when the people had only pinpricks to endure, and consequently didn't exert themselves to be brave. A big sacrifice, which bankrupts one's life, is always more bearable than the little inevitable annoyances of sickness, disappointment, and dying in a bed. The burden of our fears has slipped from our shoulders in our attempt to do something for others. The unbelievable and long-coveted miracle has happened at last to every soul who has grasped his chance of heroism. Quick-coming death has become a fifth-rate calamity. Think about that. Quick-coming death? Yeah, you got whatever. Whatever. You're no big deal to me. You're a fifth-rate calamity. Back to the book. In saying this, I do not mean to glorify war. War can never be anything but beastly and damnable. It dates back to the jungle, but there are two kinds of war. There's the kind that a highwayman wages when he pounces from the bushes and assaults a defenseless woman. Then there's also the kind where you wage when you go to rescue her. The highwayman can't expect to come out of that fight with a loftier morality, but you can. Our chaps never wanted to fight. They hate fighting. It's that hatred of the thing they are compelled to do that makes them so terrible. He goes back and he's talking now about that wooden figure of Christ that he had seen. The wooden Christ gazed down from them on his cross with a suffering which 2,000 years ago he had shared. The terrible pity of his silence seemed to be telling them that they had become one with him in their final sacrifice. They hadn't lived his life, far from it, but unknowingly they had died his death. That's a part of the glory of the trenches, that a man who has not been good can crucify himself and hang beside Christ in the end. So you go out on the battlefield and you sacrifice your life, all of your sins are gone, you're washed away, and you hang beside Christ in the end. God as we see him. And do we see him? I think so, but not always consciously. He moves among us in the forms of our brother men. We see him most evidently when danger is most threatening and courage is at its highest. We often don't recognize him out loud. Our chaps don't assert that they're his fellow campaigners. They're too humble-minded and inarticulate for that. So he's saying God's all around us. I see it in the guys. They're his campaigners, but they don't say that. They don't say we're doing the work of God. They don't say we're living like God or we're living like Jesus Christ. No. They're too humble-minded and inarticulate for that. They're where they are because they want to do their bit, their duty. A carefully disguised instinct of honor brought them there. Doing their bit in Bible language means laying down their lives for their friends. Doing their bit, that covers everything.